It's the Fatboy Show on your number one station, RX Radio. How you doing today? And I'm itching to say Happy New Year, but I know it's still too early. We still have 3 days to go.
But you can start now.
Really?
It's all about the wishes. I wish you a very beautiful Happy New Year.
Well, I wish you a very beautiful Happy New Year. That feels good to say. I've been itching to say
Finally, off your chest.
Yes. Couldn't wait till the 1st, which is going to be what? Sunday?
Yes, Sunday.
Is Sunday the 1st or the 31st?
It is the 1st. 31st is Saturday.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting.
Actually, it's very nice.
Well, so that means that on Monday it'll be the 2nd.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So
all those people that have been enjoying the festive season get to go back to work on Monday, just like some of us who didn't understand that it was a festive season.
And hopefully, all the accountants and the finance managers will resume their duties and switch on their phones back on, which many of them, they switched off their phones in this season.
Definitely.
With our money.
With our money. We want our money.
But anyway, good times, good times. Now, in Uganda here, there are a number of issues that are cause for controversy, and one of those issues is homosexuality. To the extent that in 2009, a bill was tabled, a bill called the Anti-Homosexuality Bill 2009, which eventually passed and was assented to by the president, but was challenged in the Constitutional Court and found to be unconstitutional and therefore repealed. And so that's what happened. Now, the champion of that bill, Honorable David Bahati, though, hasn't stopped his quest to fight homosexuality in Uganda. And he has reaffirmed his fight against homosexuality in some recent remarks he gave. The Ndora West Member of Parliament, who also triples as the Kabale District NRM chairperson, well, he was speaking at the Buhara Church of Uganda during the 50-year marriage anniversary celebrations of the Kabale District NRM Office Administrator Amos Ransheja and his wife Beatrice. He said, quote, "I have been in this fight for a long time and I will be at the center of the government's resistance against this anti-Christian vice that is contrary to God's own design of marriage. Marriage is strictly and divinely between a man and a woman and not people of the same sex. We are asking Ugandans to rally behind the government as we desist any internal or external forces that tend to drive us in a different direction." Now, I've always maintained that for those who are fighting to preserve the sanctity of marriage, their worry shouldn't be LGBT.
Yes.
And this isn't even me offering an opinion on the specific issue of LGBT itself, whether it's good or bad or should be allowed or not allowed. It's not about that. But marriage as a whole is suffering a crisis of legitimacy by basically straight people. We are failing to maintain marriages as they are. And
as they are supposed
to be.
Yes.
And at the current rates, you're going to see marriage rates dwindle. You're going to see divorce rates rising exponentially. And this will have had nothing to do with gays.
I personally think that before we look outside, as far as marriage is concerned, before we look for the trouble outside, let's first look within. I mean, bishops are being caught red-handed with other people's wives. You get?
Yeah.
So make it make sense. How do you come up and say, oh, gay people are ruining the sanctity of marriage, yet you straight people are breaking your marriages every single day?
You're not honoring your vows. You're not respecting your spouses.
There is this TikTok I watched one time, and the lady was like, "I have more married men in my DMs than single men. Make it make sense." What was the point? As in, you're married, you took vows, you're in my inbox as a married man, and then you're looking out and blaming gay people. No.
And to the gays who agitate for the right to get married, I even look at them and be like, "Are you sure you want that?" As in, straight people got tired of marriage. Now we don't even want it. And here you are demanding to have it. Like, you don't know how lucky you are.
To be gay?
Because...
they also want family. They want a partner. They want to have children.
Well, in many countries you can do that. there is no strict law that would say that just because you're LGBT, you cannot have children. Even here in Uganda, if a gay man wanted to have a kid, he could.
But the difference is that the gay man in Uganda may not necessarily tell you that he's a gay man. Because how do gay people have
And that's
children?
what a lot of them have done. A lot of them sort of get females and they have children with them, bear children with the females. And then they go back to their gay relationships.
So those ones have children, quote unquote, the right way. But then there are gay people. The right way for gay people should be if he is married to a man, they adopt a child, or one of them donates their sperm to a surrogate, and then the surrogate carries their child. But here in Uganda, you can't find such an arrangement. It's not allowed. It's not legal. But I think that's what they want.
Excuse me, but there is nothing in the law that would prevent a person who self-identifies as gay in this country. I mean, he need not disclose it or declare it to anyone. But if he just happens to be a person of that affiliation and he wakes up one day and he says, "Auntie kid," there is nothing that would stop him from seeking a surrogate, finding someone to donate an egg, and having a child that way.
No, I need to actually teach you something, educate you.
What?
Because I was speaking to a fertility doctor a few months ago, and he said that, because I asked him, if I'm single and I want to have a child, can I just get a surrogate to carry my child? And he said that for now, they go the family way. You must be married, you have a wife, you come in and you need help, that's when they come in. So right now, maybe if you go out of the country, but
true?
That's what the doctor told me, the doctor from Women's Clinic in Luzira.
I don't know. Okay, look, obviously I will not claim absolute knowledge, but in my few forays into that realm, and there was a period of time in which I was exploring that option and had been in discussion with some people about that option. And we did seek advice from various doctors, and they didn't ask if we were married. They didn't ask if we were even living together.
Maybe it depends on the clinic you visit.
Maybe. So
their policy and,
So, yes. So it could be that different hospitals and clinics may have their own policies, but I don't think there's anything explicitly written in the law that would prevent a person.
No, there is no law. There is no law preventing anyone from having a child whichever way they want to have it.
Or if you are a lesbian, you just, spend the weekend hooking up with dudes, conceive, and then you have your child.
And that's where you're going wrong, because most lesbians, leave alone ladies that are just bi-curious, because many women are claiming to be lesbians, but they're just curious. How does it feel? How is it being with a woman?
It's usually the femmes that are the curious ones. The femmes tend to be more fluid.
Exactly, but
what is called the butchers tend to be more like man-like.
And now those ones are even disgusted by the thought of being with a man. They find men dirty and disgusting. So if she knows
even
that
us, we don't like them. So we're not huge fans of those types.
So if she knows that her partner was with a man, it's a breaking point for most lesbians.
And by the way, did you know that domestic violence is highest among lesbian couples?
That's true.
When domestic violence is broken down in terms of sexual orientation of the couples, they find that it is lowest amongst, I believe the lowest is gay men, and then straight men, male and female. And then at the top, the highest rate of domestic violence is woman-woman couples.
Is it the highest rate or the severity of the abuse?
The rate.
The rate.
The rates. So I don't know about the severity, but... and that makes sense. I mean, if two dudes have a disagreement, they can sit down and talk about it, or logically.
And women cannot talk about it logically.
When a man and a woman have a disagreement, the argument will get a bit more testy, because the dude will be trying to be logical, whereas the chick is being emotional.
Yeah.
But when two women are trying to have an argument where they're both emotional,
like, hold my beer.
It can only lead to violence. There is no room for compromise or negotiation.
Both of them are predisposed to be highly emotional. They have the same kind of hormones. So when the temperature is high, everyone is flaring up. That's right.
So, well, it's very unfortunate. Domestic violence, really, of any type, should be frowned upon, and I would hope we eradicate it. But that said, so on the issue of LGBT in Uganda and all the concerns that people have about it, you see, I can understand if the issue is in how you want to define marriage. If you want to strictly define marriage as being something between a man and a woman, that is fine. From that standpoint, I can understand. But using LGBT as a reason, like turning that into a crusade to save marriage, I feel like it's a bit misguided, because you end up ignoring the elephant in the room, and that the biggest problem with marriage right now is marriage itself.
Not the people in the marriages themselves.
Because the concept, some might even say it's a bit outdated, given women are enjoying economic independence, have their own interests and aspirations. It's very hard to get a woman to accept the role of a wife, a role which would require some degree of submission. And so what that means is they tend to need men to compromise heavily, which many men struggle to do.
I think it depends on what the other person is describing as submission. And we've talked about this several times on this show, but my belief is that submission, yes, but what do you call submission? Because different men have a different definition of what submission means to them. And if it is the traditional type like you who want someone to listen but maybe don't speak back or something like that, then it could be something totally different. And probably men like that are struggling to settle down or are even rethinking, is marriage worth it? But then there are guys that are open-minded.
Well, you say that like it's a good thing.
It is a good thing
and yet the
to
culture,
have an open-minded partner.
Well, and yet the culture that celebrates that mindset is also the culture that has produced the highest rate of divorce. The fact is, that's what you see, what women say and what women want are not the same things. They will say they want an open-minded man, meaning a man that's sort of more tolerant and more accepting of their decisions and choices, and are more willing to accept disagreement and conflict and stuff like that. But what you have as a result of that is high divorce rates, and then you have cheating. So
and
I
the
don't
cheating
know.
is on which side mostly? Who does the cheating mostly? Is it the wives? Is it the husbands? Is it both?
Nowadays, it appears nowadays it's in equal measure on both sides.
What a man can do, a woman can do.
but I don't know. I just feel like I don't even know why women argue with the concept of submission. I find it to be a very simple thing.
For me, when I hear the concept of submission, as far as you're concerned, because at least you've shared your thoughts, I will use you as my case study. When I hear the kind of woman you describe, I honestly, in my mind, I hear a slave.
Okay, so let me give you an example. Because for me, my understanding of marriage is I view it as what it was intended to be, an institution. And all institutions have hierarchy, whether it's a communal organization, whether it's a tribal organization, a political organization, or a business organization, a company. It's hierarchy. There's a structure. There's people in charge at different levels. There's people who report to others. There's a system of accountability and responsibility, and then that is how it functions. A company could not function if it had two decision makers. Now, a company can have, for example, a managing director or a CEO, and then it can have maybe a general manager, or it could have line managers that handle different areas of responsibility, and their job is to advise the managing director on what the right course of action is, the right plans, marketing or strategies, all these things. They present these things to the managing director, and then the managing director vets these ideas and then decides if those ideas are worth going forward with. And if he likes it, he will go ahead with it. And if he doesn't like it, the manager doesn't usually get to say, to hell with you, I'm going with my idea anyway. Usually, a manager shall submit and will either accept that maybe his ideas were not sufficient to please the boss and may try to do better next time, or he could say, you know what, this boss doesn't know what he's doing, to hell with him, I'm quitting. I feel like marriage should be the same way. If you have a wife, if you have a husband, your job is to advise. So I don't believe that a woman should just be quiet. I believe in a dynamic where if there are opinions she has, she is free to express those opinions at all times and on any issue. However, submission to me means express your opinions to me,
but I make the last decision.
I make the final decision. Once I've taken into consideration your viewpoint it can go one of two ways. Either I am convinced of the advice you're giving me, and I believe that your suggestion is a good one, I go with it, or I do not believe it to be sufficient and I will maybe go with an alternative plan. Either way, whatever I decide, you have to respect and to not argue with me about.
I feel like
how is that complicated?
No, it is actually not complicated, but at the same time, it doesn't mean it makes sense, because there are things in marriage you're going to have to discuss with your wife that doesn't only require your final decision. For instance, you may be the one paying school fees for your child now that you're a father, but the mother weighs in and heavily on where the child goes to school. Her decision does not come alone. This is where you both have to agree, not you to say, this is what I've decided and this is what we are going with.
So for me, I have a complete problem with that. I cannot be committed to a woman who does not accept my absolute authority and my absolute final say.
Absolute authority and absolute final say.
She is free to advise. Let's say issue of schools. And she says, oh, honey, it's time to decide where our child shall go to school. There is this school over here, and it has these amenities. There is this school over here, and these are the costs. These are the benefits. These are the what. Here are some 3 schools you can take a look at. What do you think? Me, personally, I think this one is the preferable one. What do you think? And then I'll look at what has been presented to me, and I might look at a few others that I've been looking at myself, and ultimately I will make the decision and I will advise of that decision.
So let me ask, if when you're making that decision, how do you come to her? Do you say, this is what I've decided because I am the final decision maker, or do you tell her what you considered before you made your decision, or that is not required?
I may not necessarily have to. But like I said, she is free.
The child belongs to both of us. So if you must decide on something, then you need to let me know why you made decision A instead of decision B.
No, I don't need to let you know. What you need to know is that I am your husband, and therefore you must respect my final decision.
It's not about your final decision.
If we disagree,
we both want for our child.
All right. So let's say you want say it's now time for S1 admissions. You say you want your son to go to Budo. I say I want the son to go to Kisubi. We disagree. What happens?
No, you have to find a middle ground. That's why I keep telling you that marriage is not...
How can there be a middle ground? The child has to go to one of the schools.
You have to weigh the pros and cons. You have your pros, I have my pros. You have your cons, I have your cons.
You have looked at all the reasons, and you remain convinced Budo is the better school, and I remain convinced Kisubi is the better school.
Then convince me.
If I fail?
No, try. You can't fail.
If I fail,
convince me. If you have your reasons and they
aren't you already seeing that this is a recipe for disaster?
If you have your reasons and they make sense, then try to make me see reason, because at the end of the day, we want the same thing. We want a good school for our child.
So this is the thing.
You don't just come and say, because I made the decision, it's final.
This is the thing. So for me, I'll only couple long term with a woman who is willing to grant me that authority. If she feels that she must have equal say in all these things, I'm not the man for her.
So let me ask you a question.
I will spare her the headache of arguing about things. Let her be her own woman.
It's not really argument.
And live her life the way she wants without interference from me.
It's not argument.
But if I'm responsible for you, I have final say. End of story. There is open channels of communication. You can talk to me anytime about anything. Give me your opinions. I shall, as your husband or your partner, evaluate those. And if I feel that what you have proposed is better, using my wisdom, we shall go with your plan. But if using my wisdom, I've evaluated your plan and I think mine is better, we go with mine. End of story. No debate. You accept it. You take it or leave it.
I guess I understand now why you're still not married. And
exactly.
Because the way you view marriage, very few women can actually take that.
Exactly. And that is why the divorce rates are sky high.
But you see, the thing is
that's why Bahati is wasting time on LGBT.
The divorce rate could be sky high, but the funny bit is that the people who criticize marriage the most times are people that A, have not tried it at all, or B, are not even willing to try it at all. How do you understand and judge something that you have never ever experienced?
Come on, what kind of argument is that? It's like saying...
No, I'm just saying
like saying
it as it is.
If you've never had... It's like saying if you've never been a smoker, you have no right to judge a smoker. Of course you do. There's data. You can say, hey, if you smoke, you're at the risk of this and this.
You have talked
You know
about
what I mean?
the divorce rate, but most times when you're speaking about marriage, you speak like, I've been there, I've experienced this, and this didn't
Okay, I've not been
work.
married, but I've been in various degrees of relationship.
You see the thing about
Even
how long?
cohabitation.
How long? Because cohabitation can last as long as what? 6 months, 3 months,
Yeah,
2
but
months.
so what I'm
You
saying to
still
you.
don't get the real degree of what a marriage is.
So
really.
So does that therefore make you right?
No,
Are
it
you
doesn't.
qualified
I'm
to
not
be right?
claiming, and I do not criticize marriage at your rate because I know I'm not right. I am not
Okay,
married.
so that's what I'm saying. It's like these MPs, Bahati and all, are going to keep harping on about LGBT. But when you have women like this who cannot accept a man's authority, marriage is dead.
It's not about authority. Marriage is not about authority. And by the way, probably that's why marriages are failing, because
It is,
men
actually.
think that they need to be in authority.
They do, and this is why, and I'm glad that there is a boy-child movement that is trying to educate men about this. And you were shocked when I mentioned this to you last time. I told you I don't view a wife as a partner, and you could not believe it. You were like, what do you mean? Like, it just sounded so alien to you, and I'm serious. I do mean it. For me, a wife is not a partner. A wife is someone that I am responsible for and that I have authority over. Whose job it is for me to provide for and to protect. That is our relationship. We are not partners. She does not have the same level of responsibility.
So basically, you need a subordinate in your marriage.
That's what a wife is supposed to be.
A subordinate.
Yes.
That's why you're not married. I'm not married because probably the men I've been meeting want a subordinate. And those two cannot work together.
And the reason why there's still a lot of problems in marriage is that, you spoke of men who are open-minded. Actually, they're not. The more accurate way to look at it is they're pretending to be.
Do you think so?
They're paying lip service.
So a man will pay lip service for what? 10, 15, 20,
because
25 years?
that's what he's been conditioned to believe. Hollywood, TV, popular culture has told him to be an effeminate man, to be a modern man. I used to get flack at my old radio station. They'd call me stone-aged and I should be modern. But the thing is, when men find themselves living in a space with a woman, that instinct just overrides the programming, and all of a sudden the caveman comes out. I have a friend who was married to, she's a very sophisticated lady, well-traveled, and she found a man that was quite befitting of someone like her. She found an equally well-spoken, well-traveled person, I think was even raised in the UK. And so she thought she had a cosmopolitan, modern, progressive man on her hands, and then they got married. And then it wasn't long before the man started complaining about her timetable, about her having male friends or having meetings with male clients, and then even down to sort of the more domestic responsibilities and duties, right? And she one day woke up shocked to find out that her modern, highly educated husband, who spent years in Europe, impregnated the maid.
And you're bringing in the maid to mean what?
To mean that despite all of however polished he may have seemed on the outside, however sophisticated he may have sounded in espousing the platitudes that they've been programmed to espouse. Oh, we're equal, this and that. A man can cook, a man can do the dishes, a man can change diapers. Well, deep down, the caveman was crying for freedom.
You know what?
And the caveman eventually came out, and she did not like the result.
No, what's funny is that men will always, whenever we talk about marriage, men will bring in the maid. Now, I admit, a maid is a human being. A maid is a woman, right? But you going for the maid, you going for your employee as a man, yet you have a wife. It doesn't mean that the maid is better. It means that you have your priorities somewhere else. Because if what you want is in our domestic worker, then why are we even going to argue about that?
You see, and that is why, as part of the boy-child movement, we want men to ask this question seriously. So we see, like, I have friends, I see them marrying career women, professional women, and I ask them, like, why are you even doing this? And their answers will range from, well, it's that time, you have reached that stage, and she does this, she's a respectable person, And I'm like, yeah, but what's she going to do for you? Because he's more interested in the status that'll come with having her as a wife. Because guess what happens when they do get married and eventually she's up and about living her life and focusing on her career? He's going to get a girlfriend. I had a friend of mine who was a side chick to some rich dude. Actually, her and I also had a thing. So, and those Kampala chicks for you. So anyway, she had to leave early because her man, her boss, the basically the sugar daddy, was had informed her that he was coming to her house, and so she had to rush to the market and buy food and prepare it for him because he had instructed her. For me, I come, I want to eat. And he requires that she's the one that prepares it. This is a rich man with a big house, businesses, and high-flying wife. But he was missing that element of nurturing that
it's
could not get in
because
his wife.
it is not because
So he
was missing that
he
element.
made this side chick be the wife, and this essentially became his second home. So he has one home that he maintains as a facade.
A side chick will bend over backwards to please a man, because why are you a side chick?
She better be bending over.
Most girls are side chicks because these men are taking care of them, and the least they can do is try to show that they are more wives than the real wife until they become the wives.
Actually, he had told her.
And the guys stop the care, they stop the money, they stop everything. So if she's a side chick and you're going to use her to measure what she was doing and what the wife wasn't doing, that is really skewed, because side chicks will try to please because this is your investor. And the investor must get his money's worth.
And what's wrong with that? To me, that's a very beneficial, mutually beneficial
relationship. But also
relationship.
going back to the maid and your friend, the guy who, your friend's husband who impregnated a maid. I'm like, you guys keep saying that we want standards. You guys saying that I want my woman to have achieved ABCD, because this is what we hear. You tell us you don't want us to be lazy. You say that women must work, that you don't want to take care of a woman. I'm speaking like not on behalf, but I'm speaking about the things I see on the internet, the conversations I've had with some men who say a woman must work, which is okay, by the way. I believe in women working. I don't believe in a woman sitting pretty at home and waiting for the man to bring everything to her.
They can if they want, but they don't have to.
Exactly. But this is the thing. Go and work, but don't overachieve. Have some money, but don't have too much. Make career, be successful, but don't be too successful, because me as your husband, I will feel replaced. So where is the line? And then when I do all that you wanted in the beginning, then you go to the maid because suddenly I'm too busy for you.
Yeah,
even when I'm not too busy, by the
career women are great for casual dating. They're lovely and amazing for casual dating.
But don't you see that men have double standards?
So have your fun. I mean, she has her money, you have your money. Your monies don't have to mix. She can take care of herself. You can take care of yourself. If she wants to be a boss lady, I mean, so be it. I mean, at her house, she can call the shots, but at your house, you get to call the shots. And if for the period of time that she comes over and she wants to be a headache, all right, let her be that. But then she'll be gone within a few hours, and you'll have your freedom.
So in a nutshell, you're saying that...
But you don't want her living with you.
In a nutshell, you're saying that date career women, date high-flying women, but when it comes to marriage, get a lady that is not successful, not so career-oriented, doesn't have big dreams, and marry that one, because she will then bow to your authority.
Yeah.
Wow. I like that you've admitted to that.
Well, it's beautiful. This is what all men want.
No, it's
and
not
the
what
ones who say they don't want that,
because I have also
lying.
seen men supporting their wives to go back to school, get that MBA, try to get them better jobs, and those men are happy.
These are very, very funny men.
No, they're not funny men.
Are they
because
happy, really?
At the end of the day, when you have a business, let me tell you, there is this joke that wives don't die. But what it means is that in most cases, the husbands die before the wives, right? Now, if you have a business, even if you don't die, by the way, we have accidents, we have sicknesses, and I'm not saying every man is going to face that. But in the event that happens, and you have this wife that cannot even run your business, then what are you doing? Your kids are going to suffer in the long run, because you wanted someone you could have
And
authority
this is why,
over.
and I like that you're bringing that up because it really points to the bigger problem.
What?
It's because marriage was always intended to be a family affair, family business. So
But you're saying was.
just listen to me. So this whole business of if the husband dies, then the wife and the children are destitute. Not when you have proper family structure. You see, because the wife is now a daughter to your mother.
No.
She's part of the family.
What if your mother is not there?
What if?
No,
This
I'm
is Africa.
asking you,
We
no,
have siblings.
This is Africa.
We have
so
uncles.
your
We have
siblings should
aunties.
run your family and keep feeding your wife when you're gone because you didn't want her to, enhance herself, harness her skills so that she can run your family business.
We're not an atomized society. How many graduation ceremonies have you been to where people are thanking their aunties and uncles who sold cows and goats to put them through school?
No, I hear that, but now we have
This
come
is
down
Africa.
we have come down
No
to
one gets
the
left out in the
No,
cold.
hear me. This is Africa, and this is a place where relatives come and take everything that belongs to your husband, especially when you cannot even run it yourself. These are true things that are happening in our society.
Now, obviously, I don't know. There's also the issue of law and legality and the status of the wife under the law. And I think that's a different conversations. But really just back to the point regarding Bahati and how he wants to defend marriage by attacking LGBT. I want to say that it's a waste of time. That essentially, I mean, it may be politically favorable for him to pursue that, and it's also a very convenient red herring. It's essentially you're placing a target. It's a scapegoat to which you can assign all your problems, right?
And of course, he knows that the president is very outspoken about homosexuality. So this is a way of endearing himself to the powers that be.
Yeah, so me personally, as opposed to people's lifestyle choices, I adopt more of a libertarian approach. But one thing I can openly say I'm against is sort of propaganda. And I think there's been too much of that going on. How especially the West is just forcing that stuff everywhere. It's obnoxious and
That's
it's just
right.
annoying. It just needs to stop. They're actually making previously passive people angry at gays. Mm-hmm. As in people who previously would not have cared about it are now like, these guys as well.
And we have moved a few years ago. Societies around the world had moved towards accepting
indifference.
Like acceptance and indifference that these people are here. We are going to coexist with them. But now the annoying bit is the constant rubbing of the same in our faces. I mean, I'm straight. I like men. I don't go around saying, my name is Olive and I'm straight. I like men. I don't have to do that. So if you're gay, you don't have to come and say, my name is James and I'm gay. So what?
Who cares, right?
Who cares?
I think it's been fueled by a lot of narcissism. People are bored and they just want attention. And this is sort of the thing they're hopping onto. And it's just amazing just how much attention this gets. I mean, one of the worst months of the year, my birthday month is June. But open Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all you're going to see is rainbows.
Rainbows. It's my same birth month.
Really? It's like our month has been hijacked.
Hijacked by the rainbow. As in, love whoever you love. Gay people normally say that love does not segregate. They normally say that. And even us, we are not segregating you. We're just saying love whoever you want to love. Be with whoever you want to love. Just do not force it down our throats. Don't rub it in our faces. We are okay the way we are. I've experienced moments with gay people, and actually some of the few that I've met were very lovely people, but they were not out there saying, I'm gay, so you must accept me. You just deal with a guy.
That's another thing.
And then by the way they act, you're like, I think so. Actually, is gay. And it's cool.
Actually, I feel like the more annoying people are the straight gay activists. Because most gay people, it's like they're not. And I think it's important to separate the activists from just the normal people.
Maybe
in just the same way you have feminists and you have women. Just because feminists are annoying, it doesn't mean women are annoying.
Not all feminists are annoying. Am I annoying?
but and there's a lot of gay guys that even hate the activists. They think the activists are even making life hard for them.
You see, the activists are there in for the money. They're in it for the money. They're in it to, make themselves get known, get into spaces they wouldn't have gotten into. So they are just clinging on to this For
for clout, social
For clout, yes.
money, and power. It's all very sick, man. But anyway, you enjoy yourself today and keep listening to your number one station, RX Radio.